Hi and welcome to my channel. It has taken me 5 years and actually been quarantined in my house to get something up on my channel. So here we go. I'm Gemma, if you didn't already know, and this is
Luke Abbott.
And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be reviewing all the Disney films in order, starting with Snow White, ending at Frozen 2. We are only doing feature films. We're not doing the anthology films or like the shorts that have made it into the official like 58, 56, I want to say, maybe 59 now. So we're not doing stuff like Ichabod and Mr. Toad, Make My Music, Melody Time, stuff like that. Sorry, I know they're on Disney Plus, but I just want to do the features. At the end of the challenge, we are going to rank them. We're going to score them out of 10. Then we're going to add them all up on a board that we have, and we are going to be using the points total to rank the films from our favourite Disney film to our least favourite Disney film.
So for today's video, we're going to start at the very top, as Gemma said, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Right, well, let's start with the fact that it is the first animated feature, not that just Disney did, but that cinema did. So for that reason, technical-wise, I'm going to rate it quite high on the list. In terms of animation, if you follow any of the behind the Disney stuff, you will know just how much effort goes into animation. So putting on a feature-length animated story is just amazing. So for that, I'm going to give 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, I agree with what Luke said. It was the first feature film, animated feature ever, and for that it should be applauded. It was also the first in colour, and I know a lot about the colourists, just because I'm a huge Disney nerd. Not going to go into that right now because that will take up the whole video. But for that it should be applauded, yeah. But doesn't make me like it anymore.
What don't you like about it? Is it the story, the characters?
Okay, so if it's not the story, I like the story of Snow White enough, I guess, as much as you like any fairy tale. I probably prefer the Grimm story to the Disney story because it's just horrific, and I appreciate that about it. And I've played Snow White in Panto, so maybe it's a little bit of post-Panto stress disorder here that I'm getting. It's just boring. Like, yeah, she's just a super boring character. Sorry, Disney fans. Sorry, Snow White stans. Your girl's boring.
So when I break down classic Disney story, and again, maybe I'm looking at this as a film historian rather than a fan, but I always go, what story beats have passed down from generation to generation? And Snow White, you have quite a few things. I mean, the magic mirror is one of the most iconic Disney symbols for me. Like, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? That tracks throughout so many things. So while you say the story's boring, I'm a little bit like some of these story elements have stuck in the mind so strong.
Okay, right. I didn't say the story was boring. I said she is boring. What does she do? What does she do, Luke? She is like, oh, I'm gonna be over here by this well and sing, and I'm 14. She is 14! 14! And then the prince is there, and then she's like, oh, I'm in love, and she's never seen anyone before in her life, and then she goes into a forest, and then she just cleans. She like goes to this random ass house where there's dwarfs in it. She's like, oh my, let me clean for you. And it's just like, why? And then when the witch comes to the door, I guess in the Disney film she only comes to the door once with the apple. Am I correct in thinking that?
She skulks.
She skulks. But she's just like, here, have this apple. And because Snow White is, again, so polite and just is 14, so super naive, she's like, oh, why, yes, I would love this apple. Oh, I've died. And it's just like, oh, whereas in the fairy tale, I think I'm a little bit more annoyed at the fairy tale character than I am the Disney character, so sorry. That witch comes to the door 3 times. 3 frickin' times. She like gives her a poisoned comb, she gives her an apple, she gives her some other thing that I can't remember right now. And all 3 times, Snow White does not think, maybe I shouldn't open the door because the same lady's tried to kill me. But no, she's just like, yes, I'd love that little thing that you're buying me. It's like, why Why? Why?
Well, it's either bad parenting or bad writing. I'll let the audience decide which. I think, and this will probably come up as we get further around this, I think that's a common problem with definitely the early Disneys. So I think the best way to enjoy Snow White is to focus on the seven dwarfs rather than Snow White, and picture the seven dwarfs as the main characters of the film, which is odd because they don't come up to halfway through. But if you watch the film as if they're the heroes, it kind of, I think it stops a lot of the issues you have with it. Like, it tracks as like this damsel in distress comes along, the princess, and then the dwarfs who are isolated out in the woods, they come together to save this stranger, and then they take on the witch who is stronger than them, and
the evil queen. Like that's I'm wrapping her here. Let's call her what she is.
Yeah, well, they come together and then they defeat the royalty. They throw the monarch off a cliff. Yeah.
Yeah. That may be also why I don't like it, because I massively stan the evil queen. Like, I love her. When I was a kid and everyone else is like, I want to be Snow White, I'm like, oh hell no. I want to be the evil queen. Like, yeah, it says a lot about me that we're not going to unpack in this video. But she's cool. She may, like, have her issues, such as, you know, wanting to kill a 14-year-old because she's prettier than her, and wanting her heart as proof, but, you know.
I think looking at Snow White in the 21st century, you start to realise that maybe the character of the Queen probably is developed more in the reboots and the remakes and the retellings and, like, the discussion of it. And in the original, I don't think they quite explain any more than she's kind of a girl that's scared of a younger girl. And that's interesting in itself. And I think for the very first, and I repeat this, it's the very first Disney, I think that works. But I think Snow White definitely gets more interesting the more it's rebooted and retold, to a point.
Yeah, so if we look at the reboots, we have, well, the only kind of Disney one, because it is Disney, it's made by ABC, which is part of the Disney family, is Once Upon a Time. And kind of the evil queen is, or Regina, as she's called in Once Upon a Time, is the central character of that show.
Mm.
And it really goes into her backstory, which, again, is not canonical in any way to the Disney show. I don't even think it's canonical to, like, any fairy tale. It's just kind of made up by the showrunners. But, like, from that, I just have a deep love for her. But even Snow White in Once Upon a Time is kick-ass and amazing, and, like, yeah, and Jennifer Goodwin is I love her so much. We'll get to that when we get to Zootopia. But, yeah.
That doesn't particularly help our film. I've said all I think I've got to say about it. How should we get on with a score?
Yeah, let's score Snow White. You can go first.
Okay, like, I think as we've discussed, it has its flaws, and, like, parts of the story are, like, lacking. But this is the first one, and I've got to look at it as an historical piece of cinema that was the first animated feature. So for that reason, I'm going to give it a 7 for each of the dwarfs, I suppose. That seems fair. 7.
Okay, so it's getting an extra point because it's the first film and because of this little fun fact, which it wouldn't be a Gemma Disney video if there wasn't a fun fact that only I find fun shoved in there, which is that at the premiere, at the Chinese Theatre in Los Angeles, they had actors playing the Seven Dwarfs up on the roof of the theatre, and to keep them hydrated in the heat because they were up there for a while, somebody decided to give them beer. So by the time the premiere rolled around, they had 7 drunk actors playing the dwarves up on top of the theatre. So for that reason, and the fact that it's the first, it can have, like, a whole extra point for that. So I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10.
Varying.
Yeah. Like, Snow White ain't going to be top at the end. I can tell you that now for nothing. Out of the maximum 20 points, it has scored 10.
So just to remind you, every day we're going to rate the films, we're going to add them into a list, and we're going to have a look at Gemma's top 49 and then my top 49 from worst to top. And then we're going to look at those lists, we're going to mush them together in the last video, and then we're going to see where they come. So for example, it's quite fun when we have a diverse rating like that, because Snow White could end up anywhere in that list now, and that's kind of fun.
Yeah, that is all for today. Goodbye, and have a magical rest of your day.